Now we're going to test the digital sensors. And so the first one that digital sensor we're going to test is the limit switch. And so go ahead and just push the limit switch in. Oh, see how my values have stopped? So I'm going to go ahead and click stop. I'm going to close the debugger window, hit download to robot again, let my program download. So if this happens to you, just do the same thing. Now I have values again. I'll hit start on my debugger window, and then on my limit switch I press and release it. So notice when I press it, the sensors close and I get a value reading of 1. And when it's open I get a 0. So go ahead and write that down. Same thing with the bump switch. Push the bump switch down, I get a value of 1, I release it, it's opened and I get 0. So make sure you record those values in your engineering notebook. You tell it the type of switch and you record how the sensor reacts. The next thing I'm going to do is set up my encoder so that I can get a reading for it. So I'll go ahead and close this. I'm going to go back to robot and go to my motor and sensor setup. It should be in digital port 3, and so I'm going to go ahead and just type in encoder. And so I'm on digital sensors, and then I'm going to say quadricore encoder and go ahead and click that. Click apply and OK. Compile the program, and I'm going to download it to the robot. Again, my motors and sensors setup should come up. If it doesn't come up, that probably means that your wires are flipped on the reverse, or on the Cortex they're reversed. And so go ahead and switch those wires if it doesn't come up, and it should come right up. And then you can go ahead and start spinning it. And so you can spin that encoder and see what happens. So what the encoder is doing is it's counting. It's a digital counting sensor that counts one count for every 360 degrees. And so if I can get this thing zeroed out, go ahead and try to get it close to 0 if you can. There I am, and I'm going to go ahead and spin it clockwise, and I'm going to spin it 1 time. So when you get there, you should be somewhere close to 360. In this case, since I spun it clockwise, it gave me negative 360. If I were to spin it the other way, I would get positive 360. So that's how your encoder works. The last sensor we have to observe is the ultrasonic sensor. And so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go ahead and hit start on my debugger window to make sure everything's working. If you have a value of -1, your sonar sensor is probably plugged in incorrectly or not reading, so you'll want to go ahead and check out your wiring and make sure that's correct. And then the next thing you can do is go ahead and put something over the top of the sonar. And in this case, it's reading in inches. So right now, I have a paper, and it's 1 inch away from the sonar. Move it up, continue up, and you can see that the sonar sensor reads values all the way, depending on how far it is away from the sensor. So go ahead and record that information and how the sonar works in your engineering notebook.